So we have Erin McFarlane today from UW Extension Lakes, and she's going to give us an overview on the Clean Boats, Clean Waters program. So Erin, you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Jeannie. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining Amanda and Sam and others. I'm Erin McFarlane. I'm with Extension Lakes, which is based out of UW Stevens Point College of Natural Resources, so in the central part of the state. And I help coordinate the state's watercraft inspection program. Jeannie asked me today just to give a general overview of Clean Boats, Clean Waters. And since it's a small group of us today, I'm happy to take questions. Maybe I'll go through my slides and I'll take questions at the end, but would be happy to talk with you more about all the other aspects because there's just pretty basic information about our program here. So hopefully all of you are aware that we have a challenge with aquatic invasive species in the state. Clean Boats, Clean Waters is one of our efforts to address that. And so we'll talk about the origin of the program and who all supports it. So the Wisconsin Lakes Partnership, also maybe you recognize that little logo or symbol in the middle of the slide. The Clean Boats, Clean Waters program is supported by the Aquatic Invasive Species Partnership, which you all are likely very much a part of. And we have, through our Lake Monitoring and Protection Network, a lot of great partners that are based out of counties, tribes, nonprofit organizations, universities. So it's a really broad support system. But the partnership originally started through the Wisconsin Lakes Partnership. And it was these three main entities that it began with. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources offered a science and research background. The Wisconsin Association of Lakes, known now as Wisconsin Lakes, was our citizen advocacy group. And then Extension Lakes offered an education outreach background. So just, you know, that we have a lot of great history of partnerships in our program, and we continue that through Clean Boats, Clean Waters as well. So this aquatic plant you see on your screen, if you want to put in the chat, do you have a guess, or maybe you know what this might be, what species this is? You're right. I figured both of you would know this. It is Eurasian water milfoil, and that's how the Clean Boats, Clean Waters program originated was this plant right here. So up in the northern part of Wisconsin in the Minocqua-Hazelhurst School District, 3 students noticed this plant growing up in their lake. Typically, they'd seen some aquatic plants before growing within the lake, but this one they took notice of because it was growing all the way up to the surface of the water and then continuing to grow, so forming a type of mat across the lake, and they really hadn't noticed that before. The students had a science teacher that they were doing a project with, and they were able to get some funding from the Christopher Columbus Foundation because they wanted to do some research about what this plant was and exactly how it got to Wisconsin. And they also partnered up with the Department of Natural Resources office out of Rhinelander there. And here is a picture of those 3 students. They learned more about this plant. They discovered it was Eurasian water milfoil, that it was from a completely other part of the world and had made its way into Wisconsin and into their lake via a boat. And so they decided that through their partnership with the DNR office in Rhinelander, they worked with Sandy Wickman and Laura Felda and learned more about this plant and exactly how it can really easily, when it's growing in such large numbers, attach to boats and trailers and be transported on boats by boaters and anglers without those folks even knowing. And so the students thought about it and said, you know, I think what we should do is talk to people and tell the boaters and anglers. Otherwise, how are they going to know that this problem exists? And so they decided the best place to talk to these folks would be at the boat landing when they're either arriving or leaving the lake, and just to make the contacts and share information about what they had learned. And so there you can see on their shirts, they called it Clean Boats, Clean Waters. They originally were called the Milfoil Masters, and they decided they also should create some little kits that they could really easily package up and take with them to the boat landing that had some just information about Eurasian water milfoil and other plants and animals that are easily spread on boats and in water. And then they took an aquascope. So it was one of those large, sort of like a PVC pipe that you could look down into the water, and they could actually show folks what these plants looked like. And they also wanted to share how people can make sure they weren't spreading things from place to place. So Wisconsin's Clean Boats, Clean Waters watercraft inspection program really began completely as a grassroots effort. These students started this effort just as an educational and research project and did some education, and area lake groups took notice and they saw these students standing at the boat landing and they said, this is such a great idea, we want to get involved. And so they started trying it out at their boat landings. And this was in 2003. And in 2004, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources said, wow, this is making a big difference. This is a great opportunity to share information and do some outreach at boat landings. And so they adopted it, renaming it Clean Boats, Clean Waters Watercraft Inspection Program. This sort of the basics of what the program is. Our effort is to train citizens, volunteers, staff, people, kids, youth groups, any groups who are willing to stand at the landing and share information with boaters and anglers as they come through. And so the program is intended to enable them to take part and take these actions and share information. My estimate here on this slide is over 2,500 people trained since 2004. It's way more than that. Because this started as a grassroots effort and sort of continues to be that way, we do have a challenge of tracking exactly how many people have been trained over the years, but we have several thousand for sure. And we have a lot of different folks who are serving as watercraft inspectors. So we have folks with lake groups that are volunteering their time. We also have folks with lake groups or other entities like nonprofits or counties that are paid to do watercraft inspections. We have Department of Natural Resources staff. Sometimes we have limited term employees, LTEs, that work during the summer months to help do watercraft inspections. Other times we've had conservation wardens. This is John Price, who was one of our conservation wardens and water guards in the past. And they've also served to help do watercraft inspections. I just trained some student interns yesterday with Golden Sands RC&D, who's another one of our partners that covers several counties in the central part of the state. They hire college students on break during the summer to do watercraft inspections. We've also partnered with the Department of Workforce Development. We've had young adults, there's two there in the photo you can see that worked in the Green Bay, Calumet County area, and they were an excellent partner as well. So it's really a broad range of folks that do watercraft inspections. So the major goals of the Clean Boats, Clean Waters program, really it is an education effort. So the main message that our inspectors share is helping people understand how to take those aquatic invasive species prevention steps. So that is their primary goal, is to share information. Secondary, they also, of course, want to engage the boaters and anglers that they encounter at the boat landing in doing watercraft inspections. So helping them start naturally take those actions of checking their boats and trailers for where plants could really easily get attached, draining the water. And so not just stand there and be personal boat cleaners, but actually engage them in these actions. And then third, they would collect and report data into a database that we have in Wisconsin called the Surface Water Integrated Monitoring System, or SWIMS, which maybe both of you have heard of. And so that information, it really is useful because it captures our effort, the hours that are spent doing watercraft inspections, the number of boats that are inspected, and the people contacted. This is that core message I mentioned that they share, our main AIS prevention message. Very likely you're both familiar with this, but these are aquatic invasive species prevention steps that we use on all of our print documents, on billboards, and the boat landing signs. This is our consistent message that we want to share with people so they know exactly what actions to take. So inspect their boat, trailer, and equipment and remove anything that's attached, like attached aquatic plants and animals, mud, all of those things. Drain all the water from your boat, vehicle, equipment. That includes a live well. Never move fish or plants away from a water body. We just don't want to be moving things from one place to another. And then the last step is more commonly used just with anglers using live bait, but we want folks to buy minnows from a licensed Wisconsin bait dealer. Leftover minnows should only be used under certain conditions. And so that core message of inspect, remove, drain, never move is the main thing that our inspectors share at the boat landing. And you can kind of get the idea as I talk today about Clean Boats, Clean Waters, that yes, we want to help local lake organizations, youth groups, folks living in our state, see what a difference they can make in aquatic invasive species prevention. We want them to know they can take action. But we also, as part of the program, it's our goal to help the entire state, everyone who uses our waters and enjoys our lakes, know that they can make a difference and take some steps to help keep them clean and healthy and protect them for future generations. And so through this effective communication at the boat landing that our watercraft inspectors are having with boaters and anglers, they're engaging them in this conversation about aquatic invasive species. We're hoping that what we can do is help change the boater behavior, help empower them and know that by taking certain steps, they can make a difference, and it's important. I include this quote in pretty much all of my presentations when I train my watercraft inspectors that I work with. It's about sustainable behavior by Douglas McKinsey Moore and William Smith. But it says the major influence on our attitudes and behaviors, not the media, but rather our contact with other people. And I like to include this in our training because it really gets at the heart of what our watercraft inspectors are communicating and doing at the boat landing. They're sharing a concise message. By face-to-face communication with the boaters and anglers, they're able to convey their passion and what steps they feel like they can take and make a difference. And that has way more of an impact than virtual communications or social media or TV. That face-to-face communication really makes a difference. So as you're aware, we mentioned a little bit about Eurasian water milfoil, but we have a variety of different aquatic invasive species in Wisconsin. And we're really fortunate as a result, we have a really strong aquatic invasive species program, which has many different elements, watercraft inspection being one of the key ones, and one of the most cost-effective ways that we help prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species once they get within Wisconsin. The other aspect of our program is also containment. So we want to, of course, prevent lakes from getting a new aquatic invasive species, but for those that are already here, we want to keep them where they are. And one of the things that we do aim to do is also encourage folks to do watercraft inspections on waters that have an invasive species. There's research out there that was done by the Nature Conservancy and the University of Notre Dame, I believe. And they did a study looking at the effectiveness of watercraft inspection on containing an aquatic invasive species. And they found that if you focus inspections on water bodies that are within a 15-mile radius of a known aquatic invasive species population, it was very successful in helping keep that population just to that one water body. And so it is a good tool that we use. We fund watercraft inspectors on the Great Lakes because, of course, the Great Lakes are one of the primary sources for a lot of these aquatic invasive species. And we work with UWC grant to do that. We're always looking to expand into new partners as well, too. And this map simply just kind of gives you an idea of where watercraft inspections took place in 2020. And thanks to COVID, we probably need a new one for 2022 and 2023 because 2020 and 2021 I think are a little off, but it gives you a general idea. You can see the red dots are where we had paid watercraft inspection efforts. And so that includes grant funded efforts. And then in blue, you see our volunteer efforts. Over the years, we have gone more from volunteers doing watercraft inspection to people being grant funded to do watercraft inspections, which is just the nature of the program. But it gives you an idea of where we have our volunteers versus the funded watercraft inspections in the state. And I talked a little bit about what our watercraft inspection data includes. Like I said, primarily we're looking at our boats inspected, hours spent, and people contacted, and that's really useful. You can see the totals for 2021 there. One of the reasons it's so important is that it gives us a really good idea of the amount of effort going into the program, and then that can then be shared with legislators to say, hey, you know, even these folks in our state are willing to make an effort, go out of their way, apply for a grant. They want to keep their lakes healthy. They want to make a difference and take some action and look at the number of hours and contacts they've made at the boat landing. And so it's really helpful. We also, one of the questions we ask folks of the boaters and anglers, the watercraft inspectors, ask them within the last 5 days, have they been on a different water body? And that's just for them to get a better understanding of the risk that the boater and angler poses. But it also helps us because that information is put into the database and we can get sort of an idea of the boater travel patterns. And we can see if there's certain lakes that are really commonly visited after other lakes. And if those origin lakes are kind of a major AIS source, it gives us a better idea of what lakes get the most potentially new aquatic invasive species introductions. And this is what the data form looks like. It's pretty basic. And we've had a variety of different data forms over the years, but we've had this one since 2018. And you can see it collects some basic information, but the main purpose of our data form is to guide the watercraft inspectors through having a conversation about those aquatic invasive species prevention steps. So on the right side of the data sheet, you can see really that's just helping guide folks through those prevention steps of inspect, remove, drain, never move, but encourage them also to like ask follow-up questions and make sure that the boater and angler is really understanding what these prevention steps are and why we have them. And I shared a little bit of data from 2021, but you can see some of our trends over the years. This is a quick snapshot from our watercraft inspection summary report page. You can see the boats inspected and people contacted. And we've been able to collect this data since 2004, which is a really awesome long-term data set. And lucky for us, we have continued to improve and increase the number of contacts and inspections that we've had. But it's a really nice data set that we have that we can base our efforts and progress on. So like I said, I had sort of a short and concise presentation for you today, but I'd be happy to take questions and hear what parts of this day, Amanda and Sam, that both of you are from, and if you have any specific comments.
Hi, yeah, so I'm Sam. I'm currently an intern with the Rock River Coalition. So right now I'm based in Madison. But I had a question about like the inspection part of like the process that the boat launches. Is it focused mostly on just like physical removal of like what you can see, or is there any like efforts being made towards like decontamination with like a bleach solution or something, or is that like a little bit too complicated to have at like most sites?
That's a great question. Our watercraft inspectors focus primarily on, in addition to sharing those prevention steps I talked about, in doing the visual inspection and encouraging folks to drain their water. However, a lot of times, depending on the lake, if they have, for example, zebra mussels, or if they have a nearby lake that has zebra mussels, then oftentimes the lake group has asked me, like, so what's the next step that we can offer? Like, we can't pay for a decontamination station at this point, but what else can we do? And so there is a bleach water solution that can be used as a spray bottle. It's not widely used, and our inspectors can't just spray that on boats without permission, but we often encourage folks, like, if you think that's something that boaters and anglers would be willing to use themselves, you can have that at the boat landing. It's something that has to be, remixed every day. But there are some landings now that are purchasing the portable boat wash stations, depending on if they have the space and the funding and that sort of thing. So there are some actual boat wash stations or decontamination stations. It depends on if it has hot water and high pressure, what type of station it is, but there are a few out there.
Cool. Yeah, that was my one question. But yeah, I'm sure like the physical removal does like most of the, or a good portion of the job. It still makes a really big effort and impact on the spread. But yeah, it's really interesting.
Thanks, Sam.
Hey, this is Amanda. I have no questions, but I'll just introduce myself. I'm the AIS coordinator for Washington and Waukesha counties. So I've been spending the last month or so kind of teaching these Clean Boats, Clean Waters classes and hiring my interns to do Clean Boats, Clean Waters on the lakes. So I'm pretty familiar with the stuff you went over.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. When did you start?
I started the end of February this year.
Okay, were you able to attend the Lakes and Rivers Convention?
I was not. I was at
Okay.
DNR before this, and I was planning on going through them, and then I had the job switch. It kind of got messy, so I wasn't there this year.
Okay, no problem. I was just like, I didn't meet you there, did I?
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
no,
it's
it's okay.
good to meet you virtually. Thanks so much for jumping in there with Washington and Waukesha, both of them you.
Hmm.
Okay. That's an area of the state that we had Brad Steckert and a couple folks since then, but we haven't had real consistent coverage for a little bit, and it will be awesome to have you there and your support. So let me know if you have questions or need anything for your Clean Boats, Clean Waters efforts or program. But
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Well, thanks everyone. I'll be on for a few minutes. Or Jeannie, if there's anything else you would like me to share.
I don't specifically have anything. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.